Hey, what's going on, guys? So if you want to check out kind of my favorite tips for being able to shoot and edit with a gimbal, you can actually check out a video right up here and right below, and I'll give you all of those tips on that one. If these have been helpful, I appreciate you guys hitting like and subscribe to the channel. Again, tons of videos, camera reviews. We're heading to Iceland. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll give you a bunch of updates on that. So much cool stuff, posting weekly now on this, if not a whole lot more. And then also, I've been filming and editing this on a program called Filmora Pro. And Filmora Pro just gives you some next level editing. It's getting you out of those basic editors and into the features and pro end creativity and control that you would need from a next level editor. Big thanks to Filmora for sponsoring this video, and I really wanted to show you a quick glimpse of how I actually use it to make this edit. So I personally wanted some more advanced features, so really dynamic timeline, unlimited tracks made it super easy for me to add different layers to the videos with masks and other effects. And then for audio, I not only use a ton of tracks for incorporating like sound effects, but also I'm using audio sync tools, adding some noise reduction, compression, all that's within this software, and it made it sound much better. A couple of the other tools which I use include some like keyframing, a few speed ramps. You can also use these same keyframes for like text and graphics, even with audio. And obviously I'm throwing in some Hollywood style visual effects, so they have lens flare built into this. And then finally I added some color correction. Again, all the pro end features like wheels and scopes are all here as well. So if you guys are interested, it's 100% free to go try it out. I've got some links down below for you to check out. Now, if this looks a little bit too complicated for you, or you just want something that's a little bit easier with more automated tools to get the job done a bit faster, also check out the standard Filmora version, which is still incredibly powerful. You can also download some amazing effects for this, license footage, get some music from online libraries that they've got, and I think you'll just be blown away with the features this editor has to offer. So again, check out those links below. You can download it completely free, and hit me up if you have any questions. Alright, so here we go. This is the AK4500, and hardware-wise, this ticks like every box I've ever had for a gimbal. It is literally amazing. Whoever designed this thing deserves some kind of award. It has things that I never even thought should be in a gimbal, but they are just amazing. And first off is going to be these plates. So not only are you Manfrotto standard, you're also Arca Swiss standard. The Arca Swiss, pop this off, camera can go right onto an Arca Swiss and pop right back on. You don't lose any of your placement on here. And then the other advantage to it is it has a built-in spacer in here. So quick story, I was actually at the Sony a6600 release, and I had the Ronin SC, which was kind of the gimbal I plan on using. Unfortunately, with the 16-55 lens on that camera, it was bigger than the body, and so it actually wouldn't fit at all due to the tripod plate. And in theory, that is the gimbal that would be made for that. Thankfully, in case they release like an A7S III or something like that bigger, I had this gimbal with me as well, was able to use it no problem. So this is a massive thing to have that spacer built in, especially with a lot of modern mirrorless cameras. So kind of working our way on the hardware side, you do have a 1/4-20 right on the bottom. No 3/8, but 1/4-20 is kind of the main one I use. And then working our way up, we also have a button right at the front. I love having these. I have mine set to lock all of the axis, but you can actually program it to a couple different things. Also, the normal wheel that you would use for focusing, if you want to mount a focus motor right in here, you can get one of these for the Feiyu tech, and it will mount right on here. Super lightweight metal, really, really nice if you do use that. But what I love about this is you can pre-program it to other things. So I can have it manually control these axes. I can actually push on it and control a different axis. And so really a whole lot of features that you can use this for. And then also you have 1/4-20s all over the place. You have two right in here. And then also if you're using those up for this extension, which we'll talk about, then you do have two more that open up right on the side. So plenty of room for mounting everything. You also have one right up here. And then you also have USB for providing power to your camera, or like other accessories that you might want to do it. You can provide full USB power to those. Also, you have a nice kind of ergonomic, very comfortable rubberized grip on here. Another one on the back that you can use. And then it does come with this on the bottom right here, which again has rubber inserts, very comfortable for attaching to the bottom. And then my favorite feature right here is going to be the touchscreen on the back. So you can control virtually everything off of this, and the touchscreen works phenomenally well, probably better than all of my Sony cameras, honestly. I love having a touchscreen, and I'll tell you why in just a sec. And then obviously the things that you would expect from a high-end gimbal, so you have locking axes on everything to be able to lock any one of these, which is really great for keeping this thing super portable. Go ahead and flip that lock, and all of a sudden this is locked. You can also do it in different directions, so really nice to have these. Now you will pay for a little bit of this build quality in the weight, so it is about 3.5 pounds. But overall, I find it really well distributed, and so keeping this, especially if you put the other handle right here, keeping this close to my chest, allowing my two hands to grip on here, I find that I can hold this for a good amount of time. The weight is very well distributed. If you go down, you can obviously use that. I've got it powered off right now. But overall, just a very well-built gimbal, and it can hold up to 10 pounds. So crazy strong motors for being able to handle anything. So yeah, for a one-handed gimbal, it's definitely on the heavier side, but being able to hold virtually everything I throw at it, I can make adjustments without having to balance it perfectly and know that I will still get some really stable shots. So yeah, this is a bit larger gimbal, but one of the things that I love about it so much is that you can take this thing apart so easily, literally a screw, and it is completely apart into two pieces. It is so easy to port this thing around. I have smaller gimbals that are much more difficult to take around with me, so very nice on that part. And that back handle, that is so much more than a back handle. It is also a Bluetooth controller, so it has a joystick on it, has a screen that you can see all of your settings on it, and that joystick can allow you to control the entire gimbal, or you can throw this thing into slave mode and it will simulate your exact movements, and it does it. It is just so smooth, so much better than pretty much any other system I've ever used in controlling it. Unbelievably precise at controlling those movements and very fluid. Now when it comes to actually using it, I mean, it is a joy to use because honestly, it is one of the more stable gimbals I've ever gone with. And you still need to kind of stabilize that up and down a little bit, and I don't walk that well with these, but overall, it's very good for getting some nice stable shots. One shortcoming, which I'll talk about in a little bit on that side, and then your battery life. I mean, I shot all day at weddings, several weddings with this gimbal, and I had 1 to 2 bars at the end of the day. They quote like 12 hours of battery, and I would say that's about right. Typically, I've got it on for most of the day shooting with this thing, and 8-10 hour day, and I still had plenty to go. So overall, very good on the battery life. So my only issues with this on the usability side are going to be kind of the acceleration. I've told them about this, and I hope that they can make some adjustments via firmware. There's no adjustment on the acceleration, so while you can control the speed, I do find that as you're starting a movement, the initial move kind of starts a little bit rough. And so once it's in motion, it does really well. But that initial startup, I wish was just a tiny bit more gradual. And especially if you're shooting really slow, because I'm liking to use this for weddings. So I've got everything dialed down to about the slowest it can go. But that acceleration is just a little bit quick for me. If you're shooting more fast-paced stuff, you probably won't care at all. And then even the joystick, I've got the joystick speed turned all the way down for this, and it's adjusted so I can try and do it very slowly, but what I really like to be able to do is to have that joystick going down a little bit more on the speed, and that's actually the slowest it goes right here. Super powerful motor, so if you turn it up all the way, it goes unbelievably fast. But yeah, I do like to have it a little bit more slow, and so the acceleration, the joystick control, I want a little bit more out of that. My only other wish is that I had the ability to put it into standby. Again, for weddings, I like to have it on all day, but I don't necessarily need the motors running. You have to turn off the gimbal. There's no like standby function that just disables a motor. And so what that means is if I've set any kind of customization, so if I've changed any of my modes, as soon as so it's a kind of a quicker mode, if I've set any of that, as soon as I turn off the gimbal, it's going to reset. Now, all of my settings are still dialed in, but there are a couple little things like whatever I have this control to, now it's back to the default, which is for a focus motor. I have to actually press it again to activate my axis. So everything like that is going to be disabled every time you turn it off and turn back again. I mean, all of this stuff is just a quick firmware fix, so I've let them know. I'll update you in the comments, or feel free to reach out to me if you want to know if any of this has been updated. But those those are just some small things that I think could be better and kind of improve the overall usability of the gimbal. I mean, for me, literally, this has been the best gimbal I have ever used. Again, a little bit more on the heavy side, but the joy of that is I can do anything to this gimbal and know it will be fine, whether I put bigger lenses on it, no matter what the size of camera, if things are a little bit off axis. I love having those larger gimbals that allow me the flexibility to move things around, add microphones, be off axis, and still know that my gimbal is going to work. With some of those smaller gimbals, yes, you might meet the weight specs on them, but it doesn't fit every camera. And if you go off axis a lot, you can have issues. Sometimes if you just push on them, they freak out, but this one is going to be very good at controlling that. So overall, just a much better gimbal, ticks all of my boxes on the hardware side. And then that joystick movement, again, you're gonna have to be very gentle, or what I do, shoot it in slow motion. So again, check out my 5 tips for gimbals, and that kind of help you out with kind of the motions that I use for recording them and using them so much. But thanks so much, guys, for watching. If you want to check out any of the reviews, I shot a lot of it on this Nikon Z6 and then also on the Sony a7R IV. So you can check out both of those reviews. Thank you guys so much for watching. A bunch of other stuff coming up soon.